Right, here we go. Well, I've been looking forward to this one, if I'm brutally honest with you. It is almost Easter time, which holds a very special place in a lot of hearts of people which grew up as a chunky child. Now, I can't speak for everyone. I don't know if anyone else had this similar sort of thought process, but as a child, it really always did my head in that the hollow Easter egg, the hollow shell of chocolate, was never filled up with the cream egg filling. And if I'm honest, I always thought Cadbury's missed a trick not selling an option to be able to buy this somewhere along the line. Although thinking about it, it probably would have started a health crisis somewhere. But I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing for 1 out of 2 of my Easter specials. So let's lock in for the remaining 4.5 minutes of remodelling and Great British chocolatier mastery. Okay, mastery might be overselling it a tiny bit, but I do know what a Bain Marie is, so give me points for that one. So I got me a Bain Marie, I melted the chocolate shell, and obviously about 1 kilo's worth of more Cadbury's chocolate. I thought, it had to be Cadbury's, even though it's ridiculously expensive. I thought it had to be Cadbury's just to make the proper cream egg, otherwise it wouldn't be the right quite chocolate, would it? So I melted the chocolate, that's now a liquid, and I got my purposely bought Easter egg moulds, which I whipped off of Amazon. They're a bit cheap, so feel free to get your own ones if you want to make your own Easter eggs and get rid of the whole shrinkflation in the UK. But so you're just pouring it in. I mean, there's nothing really more to say here. You've got to do it in a few layers, because then it just starts pulling itself off because it isn't cool enough. So do a thin layer, bang it in the fridge, take it out, do another layer, bang it in the fridge, take it out, do another layer, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. But it is all fun because it's chocolate. Then you're on to the filling, which is fondant. It wasn't actually that hard to find out what goes into the inside. Fondant quite simply is an absolute arm ache of whisking whilst combining a couple of different forms of sugar. In my case, golden syrup, vanilla extract, and 2 tons of powdered sugar, so icing sugar. If you are doing this at home, I would strongly suggest to do the powdered sugar in, multiple separate steps. If you did it all in one, it would feel like a never-ending task to get that into a uniform liquid. Do it in steps, make it a liquid, add some more, make it a liquid, add some more, make it a liquid, add some more. It does then thicken up nicely, which you're then going to have to cool before we can try and make one bit of it a little bit yellow. So we got ourselves some food colouring gel, yellow gel. I don't know why they don't do liquid anymore, but we got gel, so that's what we're doing. Mixing off a tiny portion of the massive vat of fondant that we made to make some sort of fake sugary yolk. We then fill up the chocolate shells, which are now cooled and thick enough, in fact way too thick in some parts of it. They're ridiculously hard to snap, as you'll find out later on. And then obviously we fill it up as much as possible, white and yellow in the middle for the yolk. I mean, it's a fairly simple process, or at least you'd think so. So we put those in the fridge to chill, not thinking about placement or standing it on anything. I then cause an absolute havoc of spilled fondant in my fridge. So I come to the executive decision of putting those together and then putting it in the freezer to sort of fast chill whilst I cleaned up the rest of my fridge, because it became an absolute mess. And then I left this fella in the freezer overnight to do his thing. Popped it in the fridge when I got back from work, waited an hour or 2 for it to slightly sort of defrost and cool down, but it didn't really work out. I then, obviously, to start a sort of a hook of a video, I then obviously rewrapped it inside the Easter egg. To which you may think is absolutely pointless, because obviously we've achieved having the actual cream egg itself. However, the whole point of this was to obviously fulfill a childhood fantasy of having a Easter egg sized cream egg, which, I'm not going to lie to you, I made absolutely spot on. The size of which, 1.57-ish kilograms, which is, astronomical if you think of the actual size of a normal cream egg. It is sticky, it is gooey, it is Cadbury's chocolate through and through. It was delicious. Now, secretly, my favourite part here was obviously the amount of chocolate-covered utensils that I had, namely this bowl after melting everything down. And there was too much for me just to consciously throw away comfortably, so I warmed up some milk and had one of the best chocolate milks ever made. So that's my giant cream egg, that's my lush hot chockey, and thanks for the watch.